What's the biggest challenge facing you in 2022 from an e-com point of view?
Look, we're a big industry that has some really big players, could stomp on heads. If I have those thoughts at night, I always think, niche brands are niche brands. And that's what we are. We're a niche brand in a niche industry, which is fantastic. So making sure we stay relevant to our customers, I know that sounds so cliche, but making sure that we do it with what we say we're going to do, and making sure that, when we say we're going to deliver, we do. We've got the stock. If we do all those things, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay.
All right, so welcome to another exciting edition of eCommerce Australia. Our next guest is what they call a long-term listener, first-time caller. Norm has been very kind many times on many of the episodes of the eCommerce Australia podcast to message me and let me know his thoughts on the podcast. I think most of it's been positive, if not all of it, which is good. Norm Douglas is his name. He runs a great e-com business called Conni and has done so in various positions over the last 8 years. Conni is very well known, but also in a category that has unique challenges when it comes to marketing. Being an incontinence product, something quite personal to many people. So it makes it hard to get reviews, although he tells me, 5,000 reviews now?
Close to 5,000, yeah.
Fantastic. And he's also recently updated his LinkedIn banner profile and profile pic, mate. Looking extremely dapper there, I must say.
No, I thought I'd better. It's I'd seen others. I once upon a time I was a photographer, and I see others, investing in good photography, and I thought I should probably do the same. So I did.
I thought that might have been a takeaway from Retail Fest. They're just updating the profile.
It probably was that as well. Yeah.
Good stuff. Outside of business, Norm keeps very fit. As an umpire in the Geelong seniors,
Geelong Football League. There's 3 leagues down there. Yep. Umpiring senior footy in the middle.
So he's used to getting abuse. So hopefully there won't be too much of that on the podcast today. But yeah, someone who keeps fit, and not only that, plays a guitar. So here you go to some open mic nights and play some guitar, mate. What's the sort of go-to tune?
Oh, I like male singer-songwriter kind of country. That's been my thing lately. Yeah, I wasn't always a country type person, but that modern sort of contemporary Zach Bryan type of thing, I really like it. So just nice. Anything that suits this gravelly, nasally voice.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Who's the best guitarist of all time?
Oh boy, probably Eric Clapton. I think is the go-to answer. But look, I really like acoustic guitar. I haven't yet dabbled in electric, and so I think I like rhythm guitar better. So I think if you watch really good guitarists, I mean Prince was a tremendous guitarist, and there's a great video YouTube of him playing at, I think it was George Harrison's anniversary or something. It's a great clip. Go and watch that.
I know the one, While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Correct.
Is that the one?
Yeah. And he does a solo during it, which makes you, I mean, that'll never be me. And to be honest, I don't have much attraction to that.
Yeah.
So I just like a rhythm guitar with good lyrics and hopefully moderately okay vocals sometimes.
Nice. Well, if you're in the Geelong region, send us a video if you see Norm up there and no, that's good, mate. So, is that something you picked up through COVID, or you've been playing it for a long time?
No, I got to COVID. I turned 50 during COVID, and my wife looked at me one day and said, because we just realised we had more time on our hands because we weren't socialising, whatever. And she said, has there ever been something in your life you wish you'd spent more time on? And I said, yep, I know exactly what it is. I'm going to go and fix it tomorrow. And that was that I'd always wanted to learn an instrument. I always kind of consider myself a bit musical.
Yeah.
And I'd see other people doing it, and I think, I reckon I could do that, And I'd just never given it the time. I tried to play drums for about 5 minutes when I was a young fella, tried to play keyboard and guitar, but only for very short periods of time. So COVID gave me that opportunity. I went and bought an ukulele.
Oh, yeah?
And then I went and bought another one and another one and another one. And then eventually after 12 months graduated to a guitar and Ed Sheeran's size guitar.
Oh, yeah?
Because he plays little guitars.
Yeah.
And then, look, you play until your fingers bleed and you get better than what you were.
Yeah.
I'll never be a great guitarist, but I can now at least, do it to the point where I'm no longer embarrassing myself and I can generally do what needs to be done. So it's great. It's changed my life. It's a type of thing where I'm never bored ever.
Yeah.
You know, I still watch TV, consume podcasts and YouTube, whatever. But whenever those things, then I don't want to do it. I just go and pick up a guitar and start.
Is it a nightly thing or weekly thing or what? Like,
just lately, it hasn't been a nightly thing, but over the past, I would say it's at least a 3-night-a-week thing over the past since I started on average. Yeah.
Yeah. Good on you. All right. So welcome to the podcast. Firstly, mate. So you've been at Conni for 8 years. How did that? What was that initial conversation? You mentioned to me off podcast that your role is kind of an entrepreneur. Since starting at Conni, how did that come about? And how's the 8 years been since you started there?
Yeah, well, that term I'd never heard until yesterday. I was at a little mini conference yesterday, and intrapreneur, and I love it because starting. Just a quick bit of background. I was born in 1970, and I wasn't that. I was part of that generation. I always say that I'm just old enough to have missed computers being in schools all the time. We had mechanical typewriters as a subject.
Okay.
Not as a bit tacked on, but as a whole subject, typing.
Yeah.
And I did that to meet girls because there was only 2 boys in that class.
Strategy, I like it.
And I always had plans to leave school at year 10. I never had ambitions. No one in my family. I'm the last of 8 kids, and no one in our family really went to uni. It just wasn't even spoke about either. So I started in year 10, and I was really lucky. I got a job in photo retailing as a young man, and that's retailing, that's commerce. And it was fantastic. It taught me everything you need to know. It taught me profit margins, taught me buying products for $10, putting a margin on it, and selling it for 20. And then. Anyway, I wanted to be a photographer as well, and I was never quite good enough. And then I joined the Navy as a thing to do. I probably needed a bit of smartening up, and it did that. It was terrific. And then went back into the photo industry, and I remember the day, it was about middle of 1996, and I was working for Michael's Camera and Video, and I just received a promotion to a purchasing manager off the sales floor. It was a really cutthroat sales floor there, so I was happy to be offered. And they sat me down, they showed me 2 different things in the same day. They showed me a thing called email, and they showed me a spreadsheet, and I'd never seen either. And it was at that point that I realised, oh my goodness, I love data. Wow. And it was also at that point that I thought, I've missed the boat. I know nothing about computers, but of course it was the infancy of it.
Yeah.
And then about. I lose track of the exact timeline. I'd like to think it was only a couple of months later that I saw someone using Photoshop for the first time. It wasn't me. I saw a professional using Photoshop and watching them use the clone tool.
Yep.
If you know what the clone tool is.
And I don't, to be honest.
Well, that's just
I'm assuming it's
one of the most
something.
basic tools in Photoshop, where you can sample one section of the photo and put it to another section of the photo to sort of get rid of blemishes and stuff. And I just thought that was literal magic. Yeah. Actual magic, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is it. So it was around that time as well, HTML. So I bought a book. There was no how-to video courses.
YouTube.
No, and I bought a book, and I've still got that book. Anyway, I started just trying to learn how to make a website. I just was interested in me, and the first website I actually made properly was the Geelong Football Umpires League in 2000.
Oh yeah,
my
nice.
First year of umpiring. Made that on my own with just Dreamweaver and an editor.
Have they still got that website now?
No, but if you go to if you go to the Wayback Machine, it's still there. That's what's great about the Wayback Machine. If you don't know, web.archive.org has been keeping track of the internet for forever.
Yeah, wow.
Since the dawn of time, 1996. Anyway, blah blah blah. Corporate jobs, IT, yada yada. Started a business on my own called Nerds on Site. It was a Canadian brand that had come. It's kind of a franchise model. I was kind of the master franchise holder here in Australia, and I had a customer who needed help with laptops, and that was the founder, Glennis Drayton.
Okay.
Who had just started, 3 years old, this business. And I was fascinated, and they were a really dynamic person, and got to know them. Anyway, long story short, fast forward about 10 years, I'd been in agencies, and I'd been building websites commercially, and also my own brands. My wife was a professional mountain biker for many years, and when you're trying to support an athlete in a fringe sport, you have to sort of generate a lot of your own income. And so we had a lot of businesses that required my talents and my skills and my energy to do marketing and SEO and all the stuff all on our own. So I went into agency, and then we pitched. I reached out to Glenys in Conni. At that stage, it was about 10 years since I'd first met her.
Yep.
And I said, if you want a new website, let us know. And we did. We built the website, got paid, and then I said to Glenys, you don't have staff in your premises. We'll have to arrange some type of a management, payment, some type of management fee, so that we can help you maintain this thing. And she said, yeah, you're right. And then she said, come and have a coffee. We'll talk about it. And then she pitched me
Nice.
And maybe an offer that it was hard to refuse. Not from any type of monetary thing, but more so the fact that, I'd always really respected her and that industry.
Yeah.
I like to say that, the bulk of our customers probably wish they'd never had to buy our products.
Yeah, interesting.
Which makes it a challenge, right?
Yeah.
Makes it a challenge, but at the same time, I was saying to you off air before that we get to do commerce-like things. We get to be capitalists, but we're selling products that genuinely impact lives.
Yeah.
And that's what attracted me to Conni. And at that stage, we were predominantly wholesale.
Okay, yeah. Did she, even in those early days, when building the website, was it floated that they wanted to become more B2C, or has it just sort of evolved over that way as consumer behaviour has shifted a little bit?
Yeah, it was only ever designed to be another thing we did.
Yep.
It was designed to sort of help, sell the brand and be there for people that wanted to buy online. But predominantly we're a wholesale company. So we're a brand, we're a manufacturer. We're the manufacturer, the importer, the wholesaler, and the retailer. Yep. And it's our product that we're manufacturing. We have some secret sauce involved in our products. And so the online component when I started was less than 10% of what we did.
Yep.
And to be honest, that was kind of okay as well. I was brought on to not only do that, but also a bit of communications and a bit of systems and a bit of IT and yada yada. I was sort of an all-rounder. But it was about 2 years into that Glenys and I, realised that things, maybe there was an opportunity if we just were willing to spend some money.
Yep.
And so we started spending some money on Google.
Yep. So is Google the first place you started?
Totally.
Google Ads
Yep.
or SEO?
Well,
or?
It's probably not entirely true. Probably Facebook was the first, but we probably didn't do it that well.
Yeah.
But I got pitched by an agency.
Yeah.
So we decided that we were going to spend the money. I got pitched by an agency. I was about to sign the dotted line. And right before I did, I thought, stop. You've got the opportunity to learn this stuff yourself. I had the background, I had enough understanding of how it's supposed to work.
Yep.
But I'd never had the budget to play with.
Yeah.
And here I was about to throw away an opportunity. So I didn't.
Yep.
We were small enough that I could do that on my own.
Okay.
And so I did it myself for 3 years, and we couldn't find the spend limit early.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, we couldn't. The more we spent, the more sales.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
as simple as that.
Be a big search for that. I would imagine there'd be a big search for your products because, just as I sort of alluded to off the top, it's not something that people want to, interact with from a social point of view, or at least some people aren't keen to sort of want to publicise the fact that they do use your products. I mean, sure, young, old, mothers, carers, all that sort of stuff is no problems. But, a mid-40s guy, I'm probably not someone who wants to sort of engage with your products.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're so right. Our industry's got some really big, old, established players, like some really big companies that are home healthcare providers. And I think what happened is all of a sudden, and it might sound arrogant, forgive me, but I'd like to hope that we were one of the brands trying to lead the conversation to try and normalise our industry, normalise the conversations we had about incontinence products.
Yeah.
As I was saying to you, most of us are born incontinent, most of us will die incontinent, and somewhere in between will often leak when we don't expect to.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether you're male, female, healthy, fit, otherwise not, sick. And so it was those other people who wouldn't have ever found themselves in the traditional retailers that existed and still exist in our industry, they probably would never have walked into those stores or onto those websites that predominantly used funding models to get the product into people's hands.
Yep.
So we hoped that they were the ones that we were attracting. And we're talking about toilet training products, we're talking about bed pads, we're talking about mattress protection, body worn products, which is underwear, where we thought we could try and attract those.
Yep.
And what happened over the next, 6-7 years is we kind of awoke the industry, and now we're kind of all doing it.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So the cost per acquisition is gone through the roof.
What would be your, you obviously got building a strong brand there, so I'd imagine you'd have a really good returning user rate. Like, do you see that? Like what the lifetime value we talk about, that returning user rate for your products would be strong, I would imagine.
Yeah, I hate lifetime customer value because our products just last too long.
Okay. Yep.
So people invest in our products, and generally they'll probably pass them on to their kids.
Okay.
Particularly our bed pads.
Yeah.
Our bed pads are really high quality. They're not, you can buy a $12 bed pad tomorrow, and you can buy one of our bed pads, which go on our website, you'll find out they're more like $60. So there's a big difference, and there is a big difference.
Yeah.
Our bed pads are really high quality. They work. We invest a lot of time in how they work. So that is a problem for us.
Yeah.
But we're predominantly a reusable company. About 3 years ago, based on customer feedback, we started making a disposable, for use of a better word, adult diaper.
Yep.
Which is it's probably the biggest part of our industry. So the incontinence market in Australia is worth about $5 billion, and more than half of that is in essentially diapers.
Okay.
Well, nappies, what we say, but
yeah,
in an adult sense, they often call them diapers. So we entered that market a little while ago, which was really hard because we were, known as the brand of, the reusable brand in Australia. So it was hard for us to make that decision. Yeah. But we did it because we knew our customers wanted that. So
yeah. And how did you? It's a good segue. That how do you know that your customers wanted that? Like, I think one of the biggest pillars to e-commerce success is actually knowing your customers and talking to your customers. If you can have that conversation better than your competitors, you're going to win more often than not. What prompted that? Was it market research? Was it talking to customers? Was it getting feedback? What was the mechanism for it?
I'd like to hope that I've followed the lead of Glenys, who's the founder, in that Glenys has always invested in things before she needed them.
Sounds like it, with the website,
yeah. And that's what I hope I do as well.
Yeah,
I've always tried to invest in things way before we need them. So customer service was one of those things. When we started investing in customer service, and I mean real people in Australia really answering the phone, or chatting with you on the website, or answering your email, whichever way you wanted to communicate with us. There was times early on, and maybe even still, where we might even have a bit of overkill. Staff will be listening to this and hearing that, but it's possibly the case. But that's okay, because I want, when we have people call us and say, "Can you place an order for me on over the phone because I don't want to do it on the website?" Yeah, that's fine, no problem. And it's those people that told us these things. Okay. And also it shows, the industry of events for our industry is pretty big, particularly for aged and also for disability. Okay. NDIS has changed a lot in that space. So people would come up to us at our booth. "I love your products, but geez, I wish it did this. I wish it did that. I wish you made a product." One of them, real quick story. So a typical bed pad is very common. They'll have like what we call wings, and they tuck under the, so you put the bed pad on the bed and you tuck it into the mattress and you lie on top of it. So a customer came to us at a booth once and said, "Oh, my son likes to crawl underneath the bed pad," which defeats the purpose of the bed pad, because, they had some neurodiversity challenges in their life, and they said, they just felt comfortable. And they said, "I wish it didn't do that." And we went, "What if we incorporated the bed pad into a fitted sheet?" Yeah. And there it was. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Because the thing is, with any type of incontinence product, it's not true to say that they're used in anger all the time. We've got customers that use our products just in case.
Yep.
Because because it's happened to them once before. And they can't bear to think of it happening again.
Okay.
That goes for our containment swim shorts. So we use we make a swim short product, and you're probably thinking, what does that do?
Yeah.
I'm sure many listeners have heard of so-called waterproof nappies.
Yep.
Well, I'm not saying you shouldn't consider those, but I'm here to say it's very difficult to separate urine and water. Very
Right.
difficult.
Yeah.
So I don't quite understand how the urine only gets absorbed or whatever.
Yep.
So I think, so what ours do not absorb urine or water. They
Yep.
just contain poo.
Okay.
So in the event of an accident,
Yep.
the idea is that they're designed in such a manner that they create a seal around the legs and the waist,
Yep.
that if there is an accident, it'll be contained.
You're okay. Yeah.
You're
yeah.
okay. You can get out of the
Okay.
pool. So again,
No problems.
at a show once, a customer came up, had a autistic son, and said, I love your product. I said, can you tell me when an accident happens, how do you wash them? And the mother leaned in and she said, it's never happened, but I never want to be in that position.
Okay.
That's why we use your product.
Yeah.
Because
right.
it happened just once.
Yeah.
When they were younger.
Yeah.
And I don't want to,
Okay.
So,
Interesting. Very interesting. No, it's good. It's a good lesson for anyone in that e-com space to listen to your customers, and innovate from that as well. So, more on the e-com side of things. You obviously, we caught up at Retail Fest. You were up there for the year. Some of your takeaways there, or what I'm trying to ask is, you've been in e-com for quite a while now. What do you think are the pillars for e-commerce brands? Are there some non-negotiables that the listening audience can reflect on and apply to their business and help them succeed?
I think, and I've said this to you before, that the more I speak with larger brands, the more I realise that our challenges are the same. It's just the number of zeros at the end of the revenue sheet that changes. Some of the things that I think many brands struggle with, and I say we've been lucky, but we also work pretty hard at being lucky. One of the simple things is having stock.
Yep. Yeah.
That's
pretty important.
It's such a simple thing. Before COVID, we'd already realised the fact that we're lucky in that our product doesn't go off, and we don't have a lot of seasonality. In fact, our whole industry doesn't have much seasonality. The only seasonality is we created ourselves.
Yep.
We don't change designs all that often, which is probably to our detriment. We probably should have a long time. We start to now, but so let's just keep more stock.
Yep.
Let's not be out of stock. So we started doing that in a clever way with data. Data's my thing. When I first took over the role of ordering, I realised that, we were doing it on a very, not a very sophisticated method. Just kind of guessing.
Yep.
So when I first came on board 8 years ago, we implemented a really good inventory management system. It's called Unleashed.
Okay.
It's good.
Yep.
Is it the best? Maybe not. But is it good for us? Yeah. And it's a good mid-tier one. And it links with Xero, and Xero's accounting, and Unleashed is stock management. And what that allowed us to do is to finally get good data on our sales and that type of thing. And it's what we've always done. And, we have a tech stack, and I was saying to you before that you wouldn't, most people would look at it and think it's too disjointed, but it's perfect for us because we can get the data that we want. So anyway, get good data and then be able to create a good forecasting tool, which we created in-house, which effectively is loosely speaking, a really good spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. To be able to predict and know what type of stock holding you'll need.
Yep.
And that way you can increase your stock holding with comfort and knowledge that you're probably not buying the wrong stuff. Now, we get it wrong still sometimes, and sometimes we have to discount stock, but, generally. So that's probably one of the things I took from Retail Fest is that in in other industries, that appears really difficult for them because of seasonality. And, we're also, our average order value is pretty good.
Yes.
It's up around probably $170.
Okay.
And we know how to ship it.
You play with the shipping threshold or?
Yep. We used to give shipping away.
Yep.
All the time. As shipping costs have increased, we've had to wind that back, which, we didn't want to do, but we kind of had to.
Yep.
And we still have a flat rate shipping, and we still have a free shipping. And I was at one of those executive lunches that, I managed to get invited to, and I'm grateful for, but I'm often sitting there in a room full of very big hitters, and I feel very intimidated at times. And one of the big hitters is, can I say? No, I can't say who it was, but a very big brand in Australia.
Okay.
And they were in charge of this type of thing. And I said, what's your shipping percentage that you allow as a percentage of revenue in shipping? And they said to me, Norm, we make money from shipping.
Yeah, yeah.
So I said, tell me how. And they told me the equation. And I don't want to make money from shipping. I don't want, and they did clarify. They said we don't want to make much, but it doesn't cost us.
That's right.
And he said, just do this, set the level here, and it was $150. So we went from $50 free shipping to $150 overnight.
Yep.
And he said, look away from your numbers for 7 days because you'll get nervous and come back. And they were right. And I suppose consumers listening to this probably think, but shipping's expensive.
Yeah,
it's expensive in this country, and what we don't want to do is be put in a position where we have to cut corners.
Yeah. And
I'm probably, disclosing a bit here where we did do that once.
Yep.
And it bit us.
Yep.
So we wound back from that. That was probably my two biggest takeaways, I think, is I'm glad we're not in a seasonal business.
Yeah, for sure. But I think, the shipping one in particular is people expect to pay shipping if they're ordering e-com. They just want choice. And that was one of the things I got from Ship It founder Rob Hango Zada. I think I better just edit that out. I didn't quite know how to say his last name. But he mentioned, look, consumers they're conditioned to expect shipping. It just depends on options. So you can take the free slow method, or you can take the express fast method, but at least you got choice there.
Yeah.
And that's going to hold your e-com brand in good stead.
And some of our negative reviews, I would say 40% of our negative reviews are things out of our control.
Yeah.
Slow shipping.
So how do you respond to that?
We be honest with them.
Yeah.
We respond back to every review. So we started, just to go into reviews, if that's okay, because I was saying to you off air that was the thing. If I started over again, I would have done much earlier. I feel so embarrassed that I didn't focus on reviews early on.
Yeah.
We now have really good reviews. Our customers tell us they love us. We've got a great brand. Generally speaking, if we can get the product in people's hands, generally they'll have a good experience.
Yeah.
Because we make a great brand, a great product.
Yeah. So how do you generate those reviews then? Do you have some automation in there that goes to them? Yep.
So I'll mention some brands.
Yep.
So we started with Trustpilot.
Yep.
And had a great experience with Trustpilot. And then I got, just basically just sending them the two reviews. Oh, and at the same time, and this is a habit of mine, it's an old IT habit, throw 5 solutions to one problem and then stand back.
Yeah, right.
And then come back and think which solution worked.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like efficient, but anyway.
It's not, but it's what I do. So I also turned on almost at the same time, a bit earlier, Google reviews.
Okay.
So, and I remember the day that I was doing a search for our products, and finally one of our results came up with the stars.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness,
it's
happened. I now know that there's a minimum number of count that you have to get.
Yeah.
A minimum reviews on Google. So, I remember setting it all up and thinking, oh, no one loves us.
Well, it's not working. Pulling through,
But when it finally started working, so then that's when I went to Trustpilot, started doing that. Then I got pitched really hard by reviews.io at a big show. Yep. And it was very compelling. Yep. And so we jumped ship. Okay. And they've done a great job. Yeah. And
they're doing well.
Yeah, I think they do. I think they offer a really good product, and we're pretty happy with them. Yep. And so it's an automated email that goes at different times, different journeys, different pathways. One for how did we do, and then another one for how was the product. Okay. And that feeds back to obviously to the Google algorithms and within their ecosystem, and it works well. And so the negative reviews we get, and we do get them. Look, our products, particularly from a reusable point of view, sometimes people's expectations of what a reusable product will do exceeds our product's capacities. Yeah, yeah. That's a nice way of saying sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah,
I think negative reviews are in some way good because, if you see 5,000 5-star reviews, you're like, what's going on here?
Exactly.
And no one's perfect, no product's perfect. you can't have had that great experience. You're obviously doing something dodgy.
Yep.
Whereas if you got 4.8, 4.7, you're like, you know what, it's a legit business.
Yep.
Some people haven't, they're not hiding from it. And that's one thing that I've got from a lot of these podcast episodes. I know Daniela Cohen from Welco, they just publish every review. And I think that's a good way to be. It's just transparent and, you do your best, and sometimes things out of your control happen, and I think it's a way that you respond actually makes you more human and builds your brand.
And I think that's a good thing about these bigger platforms that do reviews is that's what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
You're signing up for transparency, and
Yeah.
I like that. It keeps you honest.
Yeah.
It forces you to respond to all reviews, and we do. We've got customer service staff that are dedicated for that. Shout out to Melanie. I don't know where I was going with that, but it was with the reviews coming back. That's what I was saying about reviews.io. So in the flow, when we ask them about their product, sometimes people's expectations of what it can do for them, it can't do.
Yep.
When younger kids are transitioning out of nappies, every parent wants that to happen really quick.
Yep.
Sometimes it's a slower process. Some kids take longer than other kids. It's just the way it is.
Yep.
There are things that you can do as a parent to try and assist that. But the reality is our what we call our kids' training pants, they're not going to hold what we call, ready for a bit of industry terminology?
Yeah.
They're not going to hold
I don't know if I'm ready, but we'll see how we go.
They're not going to hold a full void.
Okay.
So a full void is when the bladder empties.
I get it, yeah.
Disposable nappies are magic.
Yeah.
They are magic.
Yeah.
And they'll hold all the way and nothing gets out.
Yeah.
Well, a reusable product is kind of like a sponge. If you squeeze a sponge, stuff comes out. So it's never going to replace. So therefore it's designed to assist, for accidents. It's the same with our women's products and our men's products. It's the same thing. So some of those negative reviews, it's okay.
Yeah.
So we get it. We get it. And, sometimes we try and help that person because a bed pad is doing a sales pitch now, a bed pad's a great solution in conjunction with a pair of undies and probably a mattress protector as well. So 3 things. There's your $250 bundle.
AOV, beautiful. I think to wrap that up, I think those reviews though that people are saying, oh, this product didn't do this, probably helps the next person purchase something because they're like, okay, that product actually doesn't do what I need it to do. I'm going to buy one that does. Yeah. So
because in our response, we always say that in our response.
Yeah, nice, mate. A couple more things before we go. How much does Conni spend on branding? Like, how do you build that brand versus Google Ads and performance marketing? What does your marketing kind of strategy look like?
We've got a really strong wholesale presence, and for the longest time, we've invested a lot into branding on our packaging.
Okay.
Our industry's been notorious for not packaging products. Even the biggest brands that, if I mention them, you know exactly who I mean, often won't package their product at all. We made the decision some time back, even though a lot of our products get delivered online, many of our products end up on shelves in retail stores that you probably have never visited, but they're called home healthcare stores. They exist all around the country. It's a huge industry. So what we try and do there is we like to say to people that we're the brand you can trust, and we try and back that up in the whole thing, including our packaging. We don't sing it from the rooftops. We try and be a little bit humble.
Okay.
Probably to our detriment sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay. We don't need to be a massive company. We do well. We have our own 2 warehouses in North Geelong. We pay our bills and we're profitable and we do those things. So in terms of branding, we kind of let our customers do the branding for us. Not always. We do a lot of social media. We've tried a lot of different things. We invested heavily in TikTok.
Okay.
It's a different audience, a different conversation. Sometimes it can be, quite irreverent at times.
Yes.
Our consumers, our user-generated content can be the most irreverent. You can get people who have discovered our products, particularly people who might have a real chronic need.
Yeah.
They've got ongoing issues, not something acute. And we had one once where this person is they have long term, forever challenges, and so they used our bed pad on TikTok and said that they used it for not just urine, but maybe for sexual encounters. You know,
Okay.
so,
Jeez. Right.
because for them, their whole life around that needed protection, lots of it.
Okay.
So you know, that was a great one.
So tapping into a new market there, mate, as well.
That's
Expanding.
right. Yeah.
And last question: what sort of keeps you up at night? What's the biggest challenge facing you in 2022 from an e-com point of view?
I think I remember what I wrote. Look, we're a big industry that has some really big players that, you know, could stomp on heads if they. I always, you know, if I have those thoughts at night, I always think, you know, niche brands are niche brands, and that's what we are. We're a niche brand in a niche industry, which is fantastic, right? So making sure we stay relevant to our customers. I know that sounds so cliche, but making sure that we do it with what we say we're going to do, and making sure that when we say we're going to deliver, we do. We've got the stock. If we do all those things, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll be okay. You know, we haven't stopped growing during this time when I'm now starting to see a little bit of a cooling in our growth. So again, we're a very you know, we're an industry that can happen. That's not to say that I'm certainly arrogant about it. We're working hard to make sure that is. And some of the ways we're working hard to make sure I can sleep at night is to you know, just deliver a great product. And I remember that from, you know, when I was 16 trying to sell cameras. It's much easier to sell a good camera than a cheap camera. You know? It's what do they say? You can't polish a turd.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 100%. I think you're spot on, and you know, I was saying to you as well. I had Kelly Jamieson on the podcast, which will probably be published already by the time this one goes to air. But you know, she identified two things, and it resonated with me. It's, you know, it's product and people. You got a good product, you get it to the right people, you're going to do all right. I mean, there's obviously a lot more than that, but two pillars are probably good to
look. And if I can just finish on this as well, can I just say that I think part of the thing that helps me sleep well at night is part of our success has been investing in our own people and our own systems. And I know you know my thoughts on this. And I'm never going to bag hosted solution providers because they provide a great solution. But just recently, over the past 12 months, we went through a situation where we really decided, okay, we probably need to get off our own tech stack. And we use OpenCart, and you know, that's part of my background. And I have some other staff that are really knowledgeable in that area. And we went down the path and we tried to find one that would give us the flexibility or near the flexibility, and we just couldn't find anything that was going to give us the flexibility that we currently have. And it just terrifies me to not have that. So I invested in a really, really high-end developer when they probably weren't as high-end. They've become high-end during that employ. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And him and I have kind of driven a lot of things together. I invested in you know, really good warehousing solutions, people and solutions. We made our own pick-pack system. So we coded it ourselves to make it sure it worked in for ourselves. We invested in data gathering. We invested really well, and we invested in customer service, and we continue to invest in product. And I think that's what helps me sleep at night is knowing that we invested before we need it. And there was one time, last thing I'll say, there was one time where I let that slip, and I remember it. And I remember the ramifications of that, where our load had got ahead of our capacities. It was terrible. And I burnt 2 staff, and I lost one of them. Okay. You know, I don't want to do that again. So I want to try and keep ahead of that.
When you say burnt 2 staff, not physically, just mentally.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, that makes sense, mate. And you know, I get that feeling that you know, you definitely are someone that invests in people and gives them time and sets them up to succeed. So you know, we all learn from a few mistakes, obviously. But no, mate, I really appreciate you jumping on the podcast, sharing some great insights into a unique product and a unique environment that perhaps doesn't really get spoken about. So yeah, it's good to hear
look,
the ecom journey.
It's terrific. Thanks so much for inviting me. It's I love what you do, and you know, there's two podcasts that I listen to all the time. You know who the other one is, and I love it because it's what we need in Australia. We need more conversation about this. It's so often the fact that, you know, again, I love it when I can talk up.
Yeah.
You know, when I can express the concerns, not just having people express concerns to me. I don't always want to be the question answerer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's
100%.
good. Love what you're doing.
Perfect, mate. Thank you.
Can't wait to run with you again.
Yeah, 100%. That's it. We'll have to organise a. Do you do the Great Ocean Road? No, you were in umpiring.
It's always during season.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
Nice one. Thank you, mate.
Good.